Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here today with Kurt Leavins. Welcome, Kurt.
Hey, Dave. That win felt good.
It did feel good. First of all, Kurt, I just want to, for people who listened to the podcast last time, they may have noticed that when Kurt was speaking, there was echoing going on. Like he was in a wind tunnel or a tunnel or something. Anyway, that I think the problem was my fault and my end with my sound system. So I apologize to you, Kurt, for that.
It could be I was just repeating myself.
To the listeners. Anyway, if you had to endure that. So hopefully that does not happen ever again. I think I figured out what the issue was. Fingers crossed. Kurt, that was a fascinating second kind of fascinating game, like two comebacks in a row, man. Like, one thing I remember from following college basketball quite intensely for 20 years was the team that won the Final Four would often have a miraculous come from behind win along the way in that tournament, which was also single elimination. And it would seem to bind the team. Well, now Team Canada has been bound like this twice. And I would like to say I'd hope that gives me confidence heading into the game with the Americans, but I'm not full of confidence. It's an interesting tournament, and man, it's going to be a tough game coming up.
Yeah, I was never terribly concerned in this game. I never.
You and Elliot Friedman.
Yeah, even at 2-0, I just thought, nah. I just think Canada's the superior. And as you know, David, I have great respect for the hockey nation that is Finland. Tremendous competitors. But I just don't think these two teams are on the same level. And I thought, if Canada just keeps their heads about them and sticks with it, I think they'll be all right. And while it got a little close for comfort at the end, yes. But the outcome was pretty close to what I thought it might end up being.
I'm just counting something quickly here.
I'll say it was really fun for me because often I'm just watching these games by myself in my studio here. This morning I was at my company's radio stations in Victoria, and so the whole staff was gathered in the newsroom watching on the big screen. So I got to say that was fun, a real collegiate feel. Everybody gathered around the TVs, ignoring their regular work. Watching hockey. And I don't know if you saw this, Dave, but Numeris, they haven't measured the men's game yet, but the Numeris, which is the broadcast measurement system in Canada, measured viewership for the Canada-US gold medal game. 10 million Canadians watched that game.
The women's game?
Yes. 10 million unique sets of eyes were on that game. That's massive. And the audience was pretty much 50-50 male-female down the middle, which is also quite astounding.
Wow. 10 million. That's fantastic. I just love it. Like, it's great that there's something that still binds us all together.
Isn't that the truth, eh?
In a fractured country.
Hockey.
That's, divided politically, geographically, and it feels like, at least like never before in my lifetime. I'm safe to say that because I know what it's been like in my lifetime, but it's great.
David, maybe we should just throw the sticks into the middle of the floor in the House of Commons and we'd be all right.
Great. That's great. I love that, Kurt. That's really apropos. The grade A shots in the game, Kurt. This was the most defensive hockey game I've ever seen since I've started recording grade A shots. I can say that with certainty because there was, in the whole game, Kurt, there was only 6 5-alarm shots. 4 for Team Canada, 2 for Finland. In an average NHL game, there's average Oilers game, there's 13 or 14 of them.
Yeah.
There was 6.
A lot of this game was played in the neutral zone.
The grade A shots were 14 to 7 for Canada. But in the first half of the game, Canada had 1 grade A shot. In the first half of the game, Canada had 1 grade A shot and Finland had 5 when it was 2-0.
Yeah.
And then when it was 3-0, Canada had 13 grade A shots and Finland had 2. So I in that first half of the game, I was worried. I thought they are not generating anything. And you've got to, and they didn't they only had 1 grade A against Czechia in the third period, and they scored on the 1 grade A shot in the third. So this was coming off that. So I was really worried for the first half of the game with that lack of offensive generation. And I was behind on the game, so I kind of, by the end, I knew that Canada had won before they won, but it was still for me very nerve-wracking the whole game. Kurt, 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers. What's your good thing?
My good thing is the line that John Cooper cooked up on the fly on this one. And the line was one that I did not see coming, but holy man, did it turn out good. Sam Bennett, who made a big mistake taking a bad penalty early on in this game, which led to the 1-0 goal, he ended up centering this line between Brad Marchand, who I thought that was by far and away his best game of the tournament. I thought Marchand was highly effective today, and Tom Wilson, who was aggressive early, and then when they put him on this line, these 3 guys seemed to understand exactly why they were on the ice. And I really thought they helped break up the log jam in the neutral zone that Finland had been throwing up ever since they scored the 2-0 goal. Like, that was, they trapped Canada all night long, to their detriment in the end, I'd suggest. But I think part of what broke up that ice jam was the Bennett-Marchand Wilson line. Not a line, as I said, that I saw coming, but highly effective. They made something happen every time they were on the ice, and I'd be a little bit surprised if that trio wasn't together again on Sunday morning.
One of the things I read, and I don't know how accurate this is, but that Cooper has been kind of looking in the first half of the game, auditioning players for a third line. Like, he knows who he's going to go to in his first line in the end, like the Mach 3 line. And he knows, or the Mick 3 line, I'm not sure what that would be. But, and then he knows that the second line is going to be Suzuki, Stone, and Marner. But he kind of is juggling the other players. And last game he went with a different combo, and this game he went with this combo. It was the right combo. Interesting on that penalty that Sam Bennett took. Like, he did that against the Oilers. How many times does that guy accidentally fall on goalies?
Yeah.
He did that and got away with that a number of times on goals that counted in the playoffs. It's extremely frustrating. He gets called on it now when he's on our team. But
yeah, and it was the right call today, right? That was a penalty. I mean,
he should get called on it, and there's he should have been called on it in the finals last year. It's just a different set.
As you know, Sam Bennett was ill. That's why he didn't play the previous game. I was really glad that he was able to play tonight. And after that bad penalty, he actually was quite good the rest of the night. I think this team needs Sam Bennett against the United States. I think he has the potential to have a big impact in that game. That's the kind of game he should excel in, right?
Because the United States toughness is not it's a little overrated, honestly.
They're greasy more than they're tough, I gotta say.
Yeah, like
right?
Sam Bennett and Wilson are tough guys. Like, and Brady Tkachuk's a tough guy, but
Brady is, yes.
Brady is. And
Brady will stand up and take a punch.
I agree.
Yep.
I've liked Sam Bennett in this tournament. I liked him in the Four Nations. I couldn't understand why the Conn Smythe winner was not picked for this team. I think that was ridiculous.
I couldn't understand why Calgary moved on from him. Like, come on, what don't you like in this player?
The goal that they scored, Kurt. What did you think of Marchand? Do you think that was goalie interference in the NHL or at any other time?
No, because the goaltender was able to regain his feet and had a perfectly good shot at stopping the puck when it came at him. So, no.
I think he was pushed into the crease. I think he wanted to be pushed into the crease, but I think he definitely was pushed into the crease by
He was definitely aided. Yeah, for sure. I thought that was classic Marchand, and you hate it when you play against him. But you really love it when he's on your team. And I have this weakness for guys who wear the maple leaf, David. I can truly despise them when they're with their club team in the NHL, but I won't say a bad word about them when they're playing for the Canadians. So, and Marchand's one of those guys.
I think the hockey has to be careful about these calls. Like, if it's just automatically, if a guy crashes into the goalie, because they often are pushed in, and that will become a tactic then, to push someone into the goalie to have the goal called off.
Yet I think
push someone into the goalie.
Yet I think driving the net's a vital part of the game, right? And you don't want to neuter players. Like McDavid, of all guys, is famous for driving the net, right? We almost wish he'd do it a little less, lest he get hurt. So
I don't think that goal goes in though. Although Saras got up and Marchand was quickly kind of backed away like I'm innocent, which was really smart of him to do. Saras was so sharp I don't see him letting in an outside shot like that unless he was somewhat discombobulated by the moment immediately preceding that. So, but I do think Marchand was pushed in by Haula and tripped over Saros, and that's what happened. And I think in a just world, he wouldn't have been called for goalie interference because you're pushed in.
Yep.
And
you'll see in the game grades, I credit him for being an important part of that sequence on the goal.
Yeah.
For the very reason we're talking about. But I thought the non-call was correct, just like the non-offside was later.
My good thing is the Mach 3 line. I'm starting to think we might see them from the start of the game, next game. That Canada won't be, the tinkering phase might be over and it's time to go for it. Go ahead if you want to cut.
I think if Sidney Crosby can play, I think we'll absolutely see it. I think that might be the deciding factor. If Sidney Crosby can be your second line center, then you put McKinnon up with McDavid and Celebrini. But if Crosby can't play and you're already stacking McDavid and McKinnon on your same line, then all of a sudden that depth that I thought you had the advantage over the Americans with down the middle is gone. So I think Sidney Crosby's presence will be a big factor in whether they start that line or not.
I'm a Suzukiite. I believe that Nick Suzuki, in 2026, Nick Suzuki is a very comparable player to Sidney Crosby as a two-way player at even strength. So, and he sure proved it, scoring that big goal. Like, that was a big moment. But he has been solid defensively and chipping in on grade A shots all tournament long. So I would hope to see it no matter what. And I think that line was a little. They didn't get a ton done, but they were good defensively tonight. Like, there's no complaining about Marner, Stone, and Suzuki defensively. They
all smart players.
They got the job done. Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm not I would just want to see it. So that line, like this, when the grade A shots started to come, Kurt, they came courtesy mainly of that line.
Not a surprise.
They finally got it going on, and they finally started to connect. You know, Celebrini and McDavid have been pushing hard from the start of the game, but they just couldn't quite connect and get that shot on net. Celebrini had a number of good shots. Well, they got one really good one to start the game in the first minute. But other than that, like, they were just missing. They were not quite, or they were outside the danger area. When they finally got McKinnon on that line, I hear he's hurt, but man, he was stick handling the puck extremely well all game long, like making great plays with the puck under intense pressure to keep plays going. And that's what Celebrini and McDavid do. That's what those players have in a game where there is no time and space. There was less time and space for Team Canada than I think any of those players have ever experienced in a game before. That's my guess. That's how well the Finns played defensive hockey. But in that kind of atmosphere, those three players were able to find time and space with their incredible skill. And, they were part of the power play goal that was scored. McDavid, what did he? McDavid, not a big part, but he gets the puck on the half wall and he starts faking and he starts moving down lower and lower. He starts moving down lower, inching down lower and lower, and he moves the box with them. So when he does put it back to Makar, it's unexpected, and Makar has all kinds of time then to pick a shot. That is a fantastic contribution to that goal. Then on the winning goal, it's just a absolutely great board battle win by Reinhart. Celebrini wins a battle behind the net and puts it out front to McDavid, who spots McKinnon way across the meadow.
Talk about a seam pass, eh?
Nice pass and a great shot. A great shot. Like, got it off quickly. So even though he's on his back heel and not like he's kind of in Draisaitl territory when he launched that shot, just a fantastic goal to win the game. McDavid was in on. Team Canada had 14 grade A shots. McDavid was in on 10 of them.
Is that all?
In this tournament, I've counted 105 grade A shots for Team Canada. Connor McDavid has made a significant play, usually a pass or a shot, on 47 of 105 grade A shots for Canada. He has been out of this world good. like it was so frustrating for me, at least as an Oilers fan, to see him in the Four Nations when he wasn't able to dominate as I expected him to do and thought he would. He just seemed a little nervous, maybe. I'm not sure what it was. He has just utterly dominated this tournament. And, Celebrini and McKinnon, they match him in a lot of ways. They're such fantastic players. It's such a great line. And it's the thing that gives me confidence. If Canada's going to win, it's going to be that line that's going to get them there.
Two thoughts. I agree with everything you just said. I think against the U.S., if Macklin Celebrini has 8 shots again, he's not going to come away with just 1 assist. I just thought he was snake bit in this game. Like, I thought he and McDavid with Wilson were really, really good, and it's just another game, 1 or 2 of those are going to go in. I am convinced of that. So that's on the Celebrini front. He was terrific again tonight. If McKinnon had not scored the game-winning goal, Celebrini would have graded out the highest of all the Canadians. As it was, I put McKinnon 1 grade higher just because of the winning goal. On McKinnon and McDavid, I've used this phrase with you when we do our podcast during the Oilers' regular season. So many games, you and I have one major factor that often decides games. In your case, it's grade A chances for and against. And you've worked hard at that science, and you work that data. And as I've said, I think it's very predictive of the outcome of a game. My version of that is, are my best players better than your best players? Right?
I like that as a frame.
Yeah, and tonight, McDavid and McKinnon were just better than Finland's best players, right? And here's the thing. When you're at that level in this tournament against this tough a competition, there are only a handful of players who have another level that they can get to. Right? These are all good players. There's no bad players in this tournament. They're all good players. But there's a handful, like McDavid and McKinnon, who, when the pressure is really on, when the game is really at stake, they have an extra gear they can shift into that nobody else has. And I feel that way about Canada against the Americans as well. I think the Americans, maybe top to bottom, back to front, have the best lineup of the two. I think Canada has the best high-end talent. And I think if that high-end talent is at the top of their game, it's tough to beat.
The Americans are going to be tough to beat, too, as well. They've got so many good forwards, like Tage Thompson, Jack Eichel, Austin Matthews.
Tage Thompson did not finish the semifinal game today.
Oh, he didn't. Well, then both teams have injury issues.
Yeah.
Fair. Kurt, let's move on to bad things. And I've got to do something in about 10 minutes. So here, we'll have to speed up. I'll have to speed up my pace.
Okay, well, you go with your bad thing, then I'll follow with that.
Okay. My bad thing is, in this Olympic Games, at least, and I don't know if this is I'm not going to speak to the era of hockey, but in this Olympic Games, what we've seen is, if you are committed to playing park the bus, neutral zone trap, intense, smart, aggressive, do anything to win defensive hockey, you've got a good chance to win, even if you're playing a vastly superior hockey team. I believe Team USA in the women's game was vastly superior in skill to Team Canada. In the first game when they played, it was 20-2, the grade A shots. The margin between the two teams just seemed off the charts, and they had won all these games by a huge margin. But Canada came out there, and they were the better team in that game. They lost in 3-on-3, but they were the better team in the first 60 minutes of that game. And they did it by playing the kind of defense I just described. And we saw that kind of defense from Czechia. Very impressive defensive performance. And then we saw it again from Finland tonight. That was a fantastic defensive, to limit this incredible roster of talent to 4 really high danger shots. That's an amazing accomplishment. And they almost won with that kind of hockey. And it'll be interesting to see the final, because neither team, Team USA or Team Canada, is really, they can play that kind of defensive hockey, but they like to attack. They have attacking players. So we might just by the quality of competition of both teams, a high level of we might see both teams just go for it, like two knockout punchers throwing haymakers. And I'm hoping kind of we see that, because the games we've seen against Czechia and Finland, and the game Team Canada played against Team USA in the gold medal game women's, was frustrating to watch. For if you love high flying attacking hockey, it's hard to break through. It's really hard to break through.
On your defensive point, I hear what you're saying. I think there's two major factors. One, I think there's only two elite teams in this men's tournament, and they're in the gold medal game. And teams like Finland, the only real chance they have of beating Team Canada is to shut them down defensively. Yeah. And that leads to point number two, which is when you get into tournaments that are single game knockout, you can play that game and hope to get by, because in a 7-game series, eventually the better team will just wear you down, right? In this case, the attrition is happening over 60 minutes instead of over 6 or 7 games. So that'd be my response to that.
Yeah, like there is a difference, it seems, and any team really could have won the last 2 games for Team Canada, and Team Canada women's team could have easily beaten the United States. I mean, I thought they had it in the bag until 2 minutes left, and a goal gets tipped in. So that was a spectacular performance from a Team Canada team that I had criticized for its team selection. I still think they could have done way better with that. But they did really show what they're made of, those veterans on that team, and I give them full credit for that. Kurt, your bad thing.
My bad thing is Teemu Selanne. The Finnish Flash may be the greatest Finnish player of all time. I have all kinds of respect for him as a player, as a person, which is why I was so disappointed in his tweet post-game today. Quote, "Beating greatest hockey country in the world and Canadian referees same night is impossible, I guess. Absolutely embarrassing penalty, 90 seconds to go in Olympic semifinal. What a joke." The joke, Teemu Selanne, is you tweeting that out. I would expect that a class guy and a champion like you would be a little more classy when your home nation lost to the better team. And the grade A shots and the shots on goal and the scoreboard all reflected that. Blaming the referee most of the time is a loser's lament. I wouldn't consider you a loser, Mr. Selanne, so you may want to choose your words differently.
Well said. It's interesting. Like, I see the frustration because on the face of it, a lot of so the offside call went against them.
It was the right call.
I can't say. I don't know. Like,
it was onside. It just plain was.
I find the replays in the TV work in this tournament to be substandard compared to the NHL. Like, it's like a order of magnitude worse. There's so many shots on net that I usually don't have a hard time distinguishing if it's a shot on net or not. Half the time you can't even or not.
So is their statistics keeping. The Olympics only have 4 years to prepare for this, David. You got to give them a break.
They're amateur hour. They should just hire the NHL to do it. But then they would complain about that. Okay, so that call went against them. The stick foul on McKinnon, it hit him in the face and his head went back.
It's a high stick.
If you get hit in the face with a stick in the NHL, that's always called in the NHL now. It's always called.
People were whining about the embellishment. Well, you get hit in the face and try not to flinch. Like, come on, get off it.
I heard one, Greg Wyshynski, I think, was accusing Tom Wilson of flopping on that early penalty. He got his legs taken out from under him by Aho with Aho's stick.
Greg Wyshynski's a whole other pickle.
Okay. And the other one, listen, there was a few offsides though that were kind of questionable. That were called against Canada when they're coming in on the rush. They aren't thinking of that. So I can see the Finns thinking all the calls went against us. I would point this out. If you had guts, you might have called a coach's challenge on Marchand. That's not on the refs. You had an opportunity to, if you had the courage of your convictions, your coach at least, he could have called that, and there could have been a coach's challenge on that, and let's see if it's a goal or not. And there was a lot of people, and I suspect that goal would have been called back. So that's you can't complain about that one because you decide your coach decided your man decided not to call it.
Well, how about Finland just play better, right? They were outshot 36-17. Like blaming the refs when you get outshot 2-1. Like, come on, give me a break.
Here's Mikko Rantanen's quote, and he got it right. He quote, "We tried, but when you defend for 25 to 30 seconds in your defensive zone, there's not one guy in the world who can go on offense after that. They were just coming at us. The third period was tighter, but they were still pushing hard and found a way." I'm proud of every guy, how we battled and defended really hard. I'm just proud of every guy, but that defeat doesn't make us but the defeat doesn't make us happy now at all. So he's unhappy and losing, fine, but he's proud of his effort, fine, but he understands what happened in the game at least.
Class comment from a great competitor.
Indeed. He really does compete a little too hard now.
Great player,
some
man.
of his recent hits. He is a great player.
Yep.
All right, Kurt, your number.
1980. I hate to bring this up, but this Sunday, when Canada and the USA will be playing the gold medal game, it will be the anniversary. February 22nd, 1980 was the Miracle on Ice.
I thought the Team Canada's women's team would have its Miracle on Ice the other day, because that would have been, to me, a miracle if they beat the Americans, and they almost did. So good for the Americans back in 1980, and they're a hell of a team now. I haven't watched the American. I might go back and watch the game that happened today. I haven't watched that team yet, but I see it as a coin flip. My number is 25, 25, and 25. There was 3 players who played more than 25 minutes, McDavid, Makar, and Celebrini. So so much for balanced. When you really got to win, when you're in a real game, so much for balanced ice time and everything else. It goes out the window, and you play the heck out of your best players. All the coaches do it. They all stack up. We're seeing John Cooper, the greatest tactician in the NHL today, do exactly what Chris Knoblauch does, and Chris Knoblauch takes so much heat. My take is, the order. Like, I'll stuck it in the orders right now, but this is clearly the right strategy. You go with the guys who might, when you're behind especially, you go with the guys who will bring you back into the game and help you win the game, and that's what happened today.
In critical moments, let them beat me with my best players on the ice. I think the criticism for Chris is how frequently he goes to that. But that's not to say that he shouldn't do it, because there's times he absolutely should. Before we go, why don't we throw out a prediction for Sunday?
Geez, I haven't thought about it, but you go ahead, Kurt, and I'll think go ahead.
5-4 Canada. I don't think there'll be any trap in this game at all. I think it will be a rough and tumble first 20 minutes. I think there's going to be a lot of north-south, and I think it'll be 5-4 Canada in the end.
Okay. I love Team Canada. I'm not picking against Canada, so I'm going to say it'll be 4-3 for Canada. A little more defensive, but not much. Kurt, thanks for talking today.
It was fun.
And thanks to the wisest, smartest, sanest hockey fans in the world, the faithful. And in the meantime, and in between time, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.